Haley. I'm going to be making this video about when I got appendicitis all of a sudden and had to get my appendix out the same week that Maxwell was born. So that was very crazy for me. What had happened is Maxwell was born on the 8th, and I believe he was about 4 days old when this happened. We'd only been home for a little while and we were just getting used to things. But what happened is I just didn't feel very good for like a few days. You know, I just felt like kind of nauseous and off a little bit, but I just kind of wrote it off as, well, I just had a baby, so, you know, my body is trying to get back to normal. Well, on the day that it had happened, I had a lactation counselor from around where I live come to my house and show me how to use my breast pump for the first time, my electric breast pump. I had been using a manual slide handheld breast pump for a couple of days, but I really didn't know what to do with pumping breast milk and all of that, so I'm really glad that I had her do that, because I had never used an electric breast pump before and I didn't really know what to do, or like I didn't know how often should I be pumping. I was nervous because I had a very big milk supply and everything, but anyways, I felt pretty much fine during the day when she came to show me that, so that was good. And then later on that day, a friend had brought me dinner because, you know, we were still just brand new baby home from the hospital, so it was very nice. But she had brought us dinner and also this delicious looking tray of desserts, and I knew that I didn't feel good because she brought this delicious tray of desserts and I did not want to eat any. And that is so unlike me because I love sweet stuff and desserts, and on a normal basis I would have eaten into those right away, but I didn't want to because I just didn't feel good. I just felt like I was gonna get sick. But I started to feel a little bit better. I just like, maybe I'm not gonna eat right now, I'm not that hungry. But at the same time I was like, I have to eat, you know, I'm breastfeeding, just trying to get my energy back, so I was kind of bummed out. But I decided to try out my Mobi wrap for the first time, carrier, and I put Maxwell in the Mobi for the first time I was wearing him around, and I got it like right away. I felt so happy. But then I started getting a pain in my right side, and I thought, wow, maybe like how I'm carrying him, he's like weighing down, because my uterus was still pretty big then. I was like, maybe he's weighing down in it, and I thought like maybe my uterus is hurting, that's what it is. So I had this pain, so I took him out of that, and then it was time for him to nurse. So I sat down to go ahead and feed him, and then while I was feeding him, the pain just got really, really bad. It was very bad. So I ended up telling Rob, you know, it really hurts. I'm having a lot of pain. I don't know what's going on. And he was like, well, what, do you think it's just because you just had a baby? And I said, yeah, that's what I think, but I'm not sure. I said, I don't know if I'm overreacting, because I do usually overreact. So I was like, I don't know if I want to go to the hospital. We just got home from the hospital, but it was just really bad. So it got so bad that I ended up, I was like, the baby was sleeping. I think I had put him down for a minute, but then he wanted to eat again, so I was like nursing him, but I was laying down on the couch and I was crying to Rob, telling him, you know, he's hungry, he wants to eat, I don't feel good, I don't know what's going on. So then I had Rob hold him. I said that I had to go to the bathroom and that I was going to be sick, and at that point that's when I started also vomiting from it. I was like, it hurts so bad that I'm vomiting. And then after I threw up, I had told Rob, like, ooh, can you like put the baby in the swing? I needed him to come out when we get out of the bathroom. I couldn't, it hurt for me even to walk at this point. I was trying to walk out of the bathroom to the living room, but when I took a step, the pain was so bad, and I had him bring me a bowl because I was also vomiting while I was walking. So I was like, yeah, we really need to go to the hospital now. So when we were on our way, I didn't know what to do, so I was calling the hospital. I said, I don't know, I'm explaining to them what's going on. I said, do I go back to the labor and delivery floor? I just had a baby 4 days ago. Do I go to the ER? I don't know what to do, because we also have Maxwell with us now, because, you know, Rob is in the military. We live out of state from family such as me, Rob, and the baby. And I was like, do we go to the ER? I don't want to go to the ER with my brand new baby with all these sick people around. And they were like, yeah, we understand. And they said, though, that, you know, this is an ER situation, I have to go to the ER. So then when we got to the ER, Rob waited in the car with Maxwell and I went into the ER. So now at this point I'm walking in, I'm in all this pain, I don't feel good, and I'm also super emotional because I just had a baby. So I walked in just crying, and I was explaining to them how I felt, and I was like, now this does hurt very bad, but I'm also just crying so badly because I'm feeling emotional about the fact that I had to leave my husband and my brand new baby in the car in the parking lot, and I'm in there, like, that separation between me and Maxwell, because the whole time that we had been in the hospital after I had him, he never left the room from us. We never brought him to the nursery. And if he did leave the room, the couple times that he had to go get checked out by some nurses in different rooms, Rob went with him. So it didn't really feel like he was gone because Rob was just in the other room with him, like right up the hall. But this was kind of like a bigger separation. The parking lot for the ER and where I was feeling very emotional about that. So they were checking me out, and at first I was having to like walk around to all these rooms where they were like taking my temperature and stuff and checking me out. But then they ended up getting me a wheelchair and bringing me to a room. Then when I finally got to the ER room where they were going to come and like examine me, see what they thought was wrong, at that point Rob brought Maxwell in then because we were in our own room. They weren't in the waiting room, so there wasn't as many germs that we had to worry about, like sick people hanging around. So they got to come in the room and I felt so much better then. Maxwell slept the longest time that he did the whole time that he was a newborn then, because I used to have to wake him up to nurse him every 3 hours, because if not, I swear this baby would sleep through forever without eating. So, but at that point I really didn't feel good and they were checking me out and I wasn't sure what was wrong, so I did not nurse him for a while then, and he went for 5.5 straight hours without eating that night because we were like doing all this stuff trying to figure out what's wrong with me, and I didn't know like what was gonna happen. So they went ahead and they were like examining me. I got a CAT scan, and then that's when they saw that my appendix was sort of inflamed. They said it didn't look really, really bad, but that it was inflamed. That's what it's seeming to be. So they were telling me that we were going to wait until the morning because the surgeon wouldn't be in until morning time. It was like late at night now, so we had to wait until just like the next morning to see him. And they said, you know, we think you have appendicitis and you're going to have surgery to get your appendix on in the morning. So the first thing that happened is I started crying because I said I don't know what is going to happen with the baby. And because like we don't have like any breast milk stored up yet, I had just learned how to, like, I had only pumped and saved maybe about like 2 ounces total because I had only just started using a manual pump, and then that very same day I learned to use my electric pump. So not only that, but then the doctors came in and they told me that Maxwell and Rob could not stay with me in that ER room overnight, that I had to stay in that room overnight to wait to talk to the surgeon the next morning, and they couldn't stay with me. And so I just started crying so much. I was crying because, like I said, he's only 4 days old, like, I'm breastfeeding, I do not want to be away from him, and it was crazy. So I just didn't know what to do. So they ended up telling me, okay, they could stay. There was no accommodations for anybody. Rob had to like make do and sleep on a chair, and I slept with Maxwell in my arms, which I had been doing anyways since he was born, so that wasn't really an issue. So the breastfeeding thing was an issue. So I was crying so much as telling them what's going to happen when I get the surgery, how am I going to feed him, is my milk supply going to go away? I had no idea what was going to happen. So they were so accommodating and very nice. They went up to labor and delivery floor. They got me an electric breast pump, which I'm so happy that I learned how to use because they just kind of brought it to me. And, you know, I wasn't there as a, like, postpartum patient. I was there for my appendix, so they were just kind of bringing me items like, here, you need this, you can use this. But they did bring me an electric breast pump and lots of like sterilized breast storage kits and everything. And so I started to try to pump as much as I could to be able to feed him while I had to get the surgery and stuff. I only ended up being able to pump like maybe total 5 ounces. So while I did get the surgery and stuff, Maxwell did end up having to drink formula, which just bummed me out. I really did not want to give him formula, but this was all very spur of the moment. We didn't have any backup plan. We never even talked about formula before, like, at all. So they had brought us the already pre-made Similac bottles, and he had 4 2-ounce bottles over the course of those that night and the next day, because I was going to be like prepped for surgery, in surgery, and then after I got out of surgery I had to pump and dump only once. But before that he had to eat again, so in total he had 4 2-ounce bottles of formula, which they provided, so it was very good, but I was still like really bummed that we had to do that. I really didn't want to have to give him that, but it was not that bad, just that one little time. So I did end up having to get the surgery, but they also accommodated me in the way that they did not give me the normal anesthesia that they would put you under in order to get the surgery. They went and they gave me a spinal tap like they would if I was getting a C-section, but they did inject along with the spinal tap a little bit of local medicine just so that it would be like working a little bit better. But all in all, it wasn't enough to like bother at all. I only had to pump and dump once, whereas if I had the anesthesia, I would have had to pump and dump a lot more, and I also would have probably had a little bit of a different recovery. Also, while I was there, because I'm breastfeeding, the whole entire time that I was waiting to talk to the surgeon the next morning, they kept asking me if I wanted pain medication, but I wouldn't get any because I wanted to be able to feed Maxwell the breast milk as long as possible. I didn't want to have to go ahead and get the pain medication right away, and then I can't breastfeed him he's going to have even more formula. So I was not on pain medication at all for most of the night until late into the morning hours. By that point, it was hurting really, really bad, and I did end up getting it. So, but after that, I went ahead, I got the surgery. The next day, I woke up, and the pain... Well, now I'm being joined by a happy baby. He was a sad baby, but now he's happy. Anyway, I was saying that, the next day, I woke up and I was in quite a bit of pain. My incision site and just like in general, I was recovering from having a vaginal delivery, and then I also got my appendix out, so I was in just like a whole mess of different pain altogether. And I did not get any pain medicine for like the whole entire day after my surgery, because the only pain medicine that they were trying to give me was medicine that I could not take while I was feeding him. So, I kept telling them, I'm breastfeeding. He's doing stiff legs. He just wants to stand up straight right now. So, I kept telling them, I'm breastfeeding. I'd like to continue breastfeeding him. I can't take that medicine. They kept wanting to give me, like, I can't even remember, but it was some kind of, narcotic that I could not take, obviously, and breastfeed him. So, finally, I got, like, some nurse, and she was like, oh, yeah, I don't know why anybody wasn't, giving you this one. Like, it's better than Tylenol. It's not, like, obviously as good of, like, a painkiller as a narcotic is, but, it's better than Tylenol, and it's what they'll give, ladies who just got a C-section who are breastfeeding for, their pain. And they gave me that, and it helped a lot more than just the Tylenol was, so I was thankful that finally I got a smart nurse. But that's what happened. Then I came home, and instead of staying in our bedroom, he's bouncing now. Instead of staying in our bedroom, in our sleep number bed, which was a little bit harder for me to get in and out of to take care of him and change diapers and change and everything, I ended up, we stayed in our guest bedroom, which has the 2 twin beds. Rob slept in one twin bed, I slept in the other twin bed, and had him in one twin bed with me. He would just basically sleep in my arms, or like next to me, right in the crevice of one of my arms on the side closest to the wall. And we just did that for like almost a week, at least a few days, at least 4 days. I know we did it. And that was easier because I really, like, it hurt. My incision hurt. I also was recovering from the vaginal delivery still, so instead of having to get up and go get him to change diapers or feed him, I really just had to, I had his diapers right next to the bed, and I would just basically change him right there. I would feed him right there. And also I had my breast pump set up right next to me. For a few days after I had the surgery, I was pumping breast milk and bottle feeding him only because he was kind of kicking and kneeing me in my incision. And that was not very comfortable, and it just like wasn't comfortable to be holding him up, like, and I couldn't use like a boppy or a breastfeeding pillow at all because it just was not working with my incision. and it took a little while for that to heal, but once it did, we were back to normal, and it was kind of hard for me to transition back to feeding him directly from the breast instead of bottle feeding him, because I was doing that for a while. And once I tried to transition him back to feeding from the breast only instead of from the bottle, I kind of got a little nervous. I was so used to seeing how many ounces he was taking in from bottle feeding him that I was nervous to feed him from the breast again because I just could not tell how much he was drinking at each feeding, and that made me kind of nervous. I guess just like being a new breastfeeding mom and everything, like I just got nervous about it, but I just had to tell myself, I know that he's feeding correctly, he's having a good dirty diapers and everything, weren't you? And so I just said, I just have to do it, and it just like transitioned back to breast only, and ever since then, he's had bottles here and there, but that's what happened with getting my appendix out. So that was a journey, and I kind of like, it was interesting, like, before I even had Maxwell or anything, like, I never had any kind of, like, medical issues where I've never sprained anything in my life. I've never gotten stitches until I got the couple after I delivered him from the vaginal delivery, just a little tear. I had never, like, had any kind of, like, CAT scan or anything, no surgeries at all, and so that was interesting to have that whole thing happen. And the fact that I got the appendix out, like, right after I had him, and, so I had him, we came home, we had the couple of days where he was the newborn, and we were used to that at home, but then we went right back to the hospital, and it was a whole different recovery over again. So I kind of feel a little bit like I got gypped out of our first week together, but that's just the way that it happened for us, and it was good anyways. It was fine. He was, nothing was wrong with him, so it was perfect. But for me, I would have liked to have been in different ways for him, but it all worked out fine. And so that's what happened to me with my appendix. And I don't know, has that ever happened? Did anybody else ever have anything crazy happen to them the same week that their baby was born? Let me know. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Say bye, Maxwell. He wants to say bye. Bye.